one-on-one oriented off the ball. So, and then look, the game comes down to getting the ball, and they won almost every 50-50 ball for whatever reason. And give them credit. They're a tough physical team, experienced. They understand the value of every possession, and they beat us to the ball.
Steve Weisman.
Thanks. Hey, John, give us an update on Mason Gillis. How's he feeling? Is he getting better?
Yeah, I saw Mason this morning. It's going to slowly but surely, he's getting better. Expect him back at practice today, and we'll see how he's doing.
What difference could he have made on Saturday, do you think?
Well, a big difference. I mean, you look at some of our most competitive, most physical games, and Mace's rose to the occasion. So I think there's no question we missed his talk, his experience, his physicality, his poise. But, that's how it goes. But there's no question the value of Mason in those kinds of games is, really what I envision bringing him here, just especially in those kinds of games.
Jason Evans.
John, on that same theme, Cooper Flagg honestly did not look well throughout much of that game. I saw him on the bench like at halftime, and he was barely even warming up. Can you talk about the flu, the virus, whatever it is that's infected the team, and specifically what it maybe did to Cooper in that game?
Yeah, Jason. I mean, Coop is he clearly was not himself in that game. Look, it's every team's game plan is to stop him. And so I think just the wear and tear of the season, he's been battling a sickness here for the last couple of weeks, not feeling fully himself. And so I think that's impacted the amount of preparation he can do on the court and everything. And then you have to give, of course, Clemson credit with the job they did on defense. But we have to get him, I have to get him, and we as a staff, our entire staff, we have to get him rejuvenated. We have to get him healthy, refreshed, and back to being himself. And obviously he willed us at the end of the game because he's such a competitor. But there's no question again somewhat worn down from the season, and we've put a lot on him. And so it's time we get him, like I said, rejuvenated and refreshed and ready to go.
David Teal.
John, just because you won't be on here next week, how did the Illinois game come about? Did you intentionally want a non-conference game this late, or was it just availability of the Garden? Because this is the first time since the ACC's gone to 20 that Duke
Right.
has played a non-conference game this late.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned that. I don't know what I'm going to do next Monday without seeing all your faces out there Monday. So I'll see if I can survive. No, I'm just messing with you guys. We thought, one, any chance to get back to Madison Square Garden for us, we try to do that once a year if we can. There were conflicts and it was difficult to go there in December this year with our schedule and with their schedule. And so the idea came up of doing it in February. And the more I talked about it, the more I liked the concept of getting a neutral game late in the year against a different opponent to get outside the bubble that we're in, ACC play. And, I didn't know how it'd feel as it got closer. But the closer we've got to that game, the happier I am we have it, because I think it will really simulate what you're going to see in the postseason and in the ACC tournament and hopefully in the NCAA tournament. So Illinois, I'm sure, felt the same way with Brad and his staff. And I think it'll be an amazing environment. I think the environment is going to be incredible, and it'll be a tough test against a really good opponent.
I'll go next to Royal Howell.
Good morning, Coach. I hope you're doing well.
Morning.
Coach, can you give your assessment on Tyrese Proctor over the last 3 games? He's shooting over 50%, averaging about 18 points per game, but it seems like he's bringing more of a sense of urgency to your ball club. And we know March Madness is about the floor general, which is about guard play. Just speak on his assessment and just his transcendence in the last 3 games.
Tyrese has been a killer, man. He's been offensively, the job he's done, defensively too. I just think he's had a great competitiveness about him. He's had great poise, leadership. And with that comes comes with making shots and, making all the plays that he has. But I'm really proud of him for his mindset, his attitude, and we're going to need him at that level. I think his scoring is really important for our team and his readiness to play off his shot. And he's done that. I thought he was terrific against Clemson.
Thank you, Coach.
Go
Thanks.
next to Michael Lieberman.
Hi, Coach. Michael Lieberman from the Cap Daily. Everywhere you go, it seems like you're walking into the craziest environment and opponent's fans have to offer. Talk about why that is, what that's looked like, and how that maybe compares to 2019 with Zion Williamson and that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a privilege and an honor. Look, at Clemson, we were getting booed for our shoot around walking in. That's one of the few times that's happened. And just the environment at the game, is something we don't take for granted. That's what you want. You want to be a big deal when or if you lose, and just the opportunity just of both teams to play against each other. And that's something we've really felt at a deep level this year. We've talked about being grateful. We've talked about embracing the obstacle, what that presents for the readiness of the other team. But it's really a privilege at the end of the day. And there's no exception Saturday night. Dickie V calling the game, coming back. What an honor that was. And the crowd was incredible, high level. And again, I just think the more we're in those situations, the better it prepares you down the stretch.
Go next to Kip Coons.
Good morning, John. Hey, nothing
morning.
says you can't come back next Monday. Brad was on this morning with his game, so
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I do want to ask you though, the end of your game with the court storming, it's been suggested that can be a dangerous situation. We've seen the SEC legislate against it, fine teams repeatedly. Do you think the ACC should consider something like that for player safety?
Yeah, well, Kip, look, it was a tough situation, and I didn't want to say anything about it, because I didn't want it to take away from the job that Clemson did. Clemson, man, they played a big time game and big time win, and that should have been the story. But it's crossing my mind at the end of the game about trying to make sure our players are safe, and that shouldn't be my responsibility in that moment. Security should have that taken care of. And the fact that I'm debating look, we could win the game still. Down 6 with 5 seconds to go. As a coach, you want to be thinking about how to win the game. And we were. I mean, Cooper hits that 3. You're stealing a 3 away from winning. That's my mindset. And the officials tried to stop the rush for just a second, just so we could get our players off the court. So I think they should rush, and court storming and all that. Just, we got to get our players off the court safely. And that wasn't a safe environment, no question about it. I mean, I was put in a position where I was shielding our guys from people running up and getting in their face. So I don't think we want something to happen and then have to make a decision to do something. So again, I don't want anything. That's not for Brad to worry about. That's not for his staff, their team. They did an incredible job. But yeah, obviously that's I'm concerned for our players' safety in that case, no question.
Go next to Corey Bosmer.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
You mentioned the word pressure and privilege during this. How much, to you personally, as the head coach of Duke, do you consider the pressure that comes with being the head coach there?
I've always looked at it. Of course, you feel the obligation, or I would call it responsibility, more than pressure. I think responsibility is the right word that I feel, where you want to have the best team and program you can have. And so the position our program is in, I take a lot of pride in that. I think the trust from, the Nina and university, and you want to make sure it's represented in the right way. So to me, it's a responsibility and a privilege, and I treat it as such every single day. I don't want our players ever, and for me, you can't go in feeling tight or feeling That's not the right way to go about
Right.
it. But to go in with responsibility, uh, confidence, and just making sure you're representing the program in the best way.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
John, thank you for the time today. We'll miss you next week.
All right, yeah, feelings mutual. All right, thanks,
Yeah,
Andy.
I'm sure.
All
I'm
right, see
sure
you
it
guys.
is.